Welcome to Keep the Faith Ministry News. Lawmakers in Canada are considering legislation which, if passed, could criminalize the act of quoting scripture in defense of biblical marriage, sexuality, and other Christian views. The proposed bill, C-367, currently under review in the House of Commons, would repeal religious exemption in Section 319 of the Canadian Criminal Code, which critics say could open up Christians and other religious groups to hate speech charges over any comments or criticisms of the LGBT movement. Bill C-367 specifically targets paragraph 319, 3b, and paragraph 319, 3.1b of the Criminal Code, which prohibits any conviction on hate speech charges if in good faith the person expressed or attempted to establish by an argument an opinion on a religious subject or an opinion based on a belief in a religious text. If the religious exemption is removed, any religious or faith-based expression that refutes or condemns gender ideology, child sexualization, and other similar topics could potentially be deemed by Canadian courts as hate speech and lead to criminal prosecution for Christians and other religious groups. In February, David Cook, CLC's campaign manager, wrote, "No longer will we be allowed to share God's design for human sexuality and marriage in public. No longer will we be allowed to speak out in the name of God against drag shows for kids, child drag, or child sex change." All this could be misconstrued as hate speech against the LGBT community. Even our pro-life message could be spun as a hate crime against women. Jeff King, president of International Christian Concern, says if passed, the bill would be a devastating legal tool to attack people of faith in Canada and allow the politicians working through the courts and police to send devout believers to jail for quoting the Bible, Quran, or other religious text. The same methods that overseas dictators and despots use to silence and strangle Christianity are now being used by political enemies in the West. With this current bill being only the latest example, King said in a statement shared with CP. He called on Christians and Canadian citizens of faith of all stripes to make their voices heard by Canadian government officials. Canadians that enjoy the fruits of democracy need to wake up, he added. Any politician in the West who pushes for this kind of legislation and is selling protection and unity by advancing hate speech laws is an enemy of freedom and democracy and willing to undermine the religious and speech laws that protect all citizens to advance their special interests or to inflict damage on their political enemies. Godless governments are surrounding the legal house of modern lots. Quote, "But before they lay down, the men of the city, even the men of Sodom, compassed the house round, both old and young, all the people from every quarter." Genesis 19:4. This is Keep the Faith Ministry News. Thank you for watching.